The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for attending. I apologize for the late delay. We were having some technical difficulties. However, I am going to start because we do have people here that have been patiently waiting, so thank you so much for your patience. Okay, so today we're going to talk about Pinterest, and we're going to focus on the actual platform, Pinterest, rather than a presentation about Pinterest. We'll still go over the fundamentals that we've been going over in the rest of the series, but we are going to just focus on how to best use Pinterest. So first I'm going to start with my actual Pinterest account. And let's see here. We're going to log in. So the interesting thing about Pinterest is that you can, and ideally you do, have a Facebook that can integrate with Pinterest. So the reason why we started this series with just Twitter and then Facebook and then Pinterest, because each of these build upon each other, and each of these are an opportunity to create a foundation in social media. So the thing I always explain to everyone that I train on social media is that you must have a Facebook profile. Even if you don't want to post about everything in your life, a Facebook profile generally connects you to everything else. So if you don't already know that, you need to know that specifically a Facebook profile is crucial to a lot of the other platforms outside of Twitter. So Twitter is really its own universe. And then Facebook is its own separate universe. But Facebook has a more distinctive, development system where it is integrated with other people. And so, you really need to put together a Facebook profile that has some meaning behind it and is related to what it is that you want to do. And so if you can make sure that your campaign, when you plan it out, is very, very active towards your objectives, then you can put together something that's very powerful and very wonderful that can integrate with other platforms. And one of those platforms is Pinterest. So it's just taking a minute here because I have to answer questions with Facebook to verify myself on a new computer. So this is a lot of fun. And they are making me identify my friends and family on here. And so that is exciting. Okay. Now let's see. Yeah. Now it's logging me in. Great. I successfully identified my friends and family. Okay. So this is my personal Pinterest account. And it's based on my interests. It's based on the things that I've liked, and it's based on the friends that I have on Pinterest. So it's focused on a couple things. One is it's focused on gardening, because I like gardening. It's focused on travel, and it's focused on vegan and vegetarian food, because I tend to eat a lot of vegan and vegetarian food if I can help it. So you can see in my Pinterest account, and there's fashion and girly stuff on here too. So in my Pinterest account, you'll see a mix of all kinds of different things that Pinterest is recommending. that I pin. The best thing you can know about Pinterest is that really it's a vision board of things you want to remember, things you want to save, things you want to do, things like that. And so that's what Pinterest is for a personal user. So if you look at my profile on Pinterest, you'll see that these are all the things that I like. So I have books, I have my style, I have my home, things I want to remember from my home. I have things that are my favorite spaces and places, recipes, the trips I plan to do with my honey, quotes and stuff I want to use for making up and being girly. So, and then I have my style. My style is essentially things that I feel are crucial to like who I am as a person. So these are themes. And so on Pinterest, ideally you want to have both themes or that are related to you personally, have a personal Pinterest account, and then you also want to have an account that reflects your passion, what you're advocating for, and what you're interested in. So this is my personal Pinterest, and then based on those boards and based on the people I'm following on those boards, that's what allows me to have recommendations from Pinterest. So it just kind of goes on and on. So for those of you who don't know the basics of Pinterest, once you connect your Facebook account, and hopefully it's a healthy Facebook account with lots of people in it, you can invite your friends from Facebook onto Pinterest. So that's your vision board. And then Facebook puts together a connection with Pinterest and says, okay, these people are on Pinterest and they're also on your Facebook, so why don't you connect with these people? So I can follow the people I know that I haven't followed already. So you just click on the person you know who you're connected with on Facebook, and then you click follow. And then you go back. And then I can go back and you can see Facebook rotates it around and changes up who it recommends. Pinterest changes up in who it recommends from Facebook. So you can just follow people that you think are interesting to follow, who you know from Facebook. You can also invite people from your Yahoo and your Gmail contacts. You can invite people who they recommend from your Yahoo and your Gmail, and then it'll send them an invite. And then when you go back to the home page for Pinterest, which is this little P symbol right here, you can see it'll just automatically say invite your friends to Pinterest. And you just send an invite. And that invite essentially looks here and just says, hey, and then you can type in join me on Pinterest here. So it's pin and interest put together. So it's just Pinterest or Pinterest. But okay, so I'm going to say please join me on Pinterest. And again, this is why it's good to have a healthy Facebook account, because this allows you to see your Pinterest account. Just like last week we talked about seeding your Facebook account to set up groups and to set up Facebook events. It's the same thing with Pinterest. You can essentially use your Facebook friends to establish a presence on Pinterest. Pinterest connects with Facebook, Facebook connects with Pinterest. And then there are other ways to find friends, which it basically starts to detect who you could be connected to or should be connected to based on your interests. So that's friends. The next part of the page is on Pinterest is pinning something. So you have two ways of pinning something or making note of something. One is to pin it. So when I hit pin it, you'll see there's a Buddha here. I can say exactly where I want to pin it. So I can hit pin it. And then it's going to ask me where do I want to pin it. Looks like it's a little bit hard to see, but I'm going to put for the home. So I'm going to put for the home here, and then it has a link to Facebook. It's kind of hard to see on this particular browser. I'm on a new computer, so I apologize. But I can say here for the home. and then it puts together, it saves into the home. It also recommends other boards and things to follow. And I'll send screenshots out about what it looks like on Chrome because this is Explorer and it's a little bit challenging. The other side is you can send something. And sending means you're going to send it to another person. So you can send it to a fellow pinner. You can also send it, if you click on it, this is better. So if you click on it, for example, when I pin it this way, when I pin it, when I want to share it, I can share it on Facebook. And so what happens is instead of pinning it, you share it, and that means it goes on my Facebook timeline. So here, instead of loading it on Pinterest, I share the link on Facebook, and it actually winds up on Facebook. Now, when you go to Facebook, I'll just log into Facebook, you'll be able to see that essentially what happens is that it will show both the things that I pin, and it will also show the things that I share. So it's up to you how you want to make notes of things on Pinterest, because it will show those items. So you can see it pinned it to my board on Pinterest, and then it shows that I shared a link. So either way, I can click and share it on Twitter, I can share it on Pinterest, on Facebook. I can share my Pinterest things just like I share a post normally on Facebook. And then Facebook also makes a note of what you do on Pinterest by making a board called Pinterest. So here, if you click on Pinterest in Facebook, it shows everything that I've pinned lately. This is the same for a Facebook tab, which will show on the business side of the equation, on your community side of the equation. So you can see here that my board is right here. And I don't even have to be on Pinterest, but whatever I do on Pinterest is saved in Facebook. Whatever I send from Pinterest is noted in Facebook. You can not have them connected, but it's ideally, if you've spent time building up a Facebook audience, that you connect them. And you use that Facebook audience to build up a Pinterest audience. So if you weren't participating in last week, basically what happens is you build up a Twitter following. That Twitter following puts together, Jackie, I'll answer your question in one moment. It is better that you have a focus on Twitter, build up traffic on Twitter, then use that traffic on Twitter to build up Facebook, and then use that Facebook to build up Pinterest. And the reason is because Twitter tends to have more traffic. It's a more open system, and you can use that traffic to build onto Facebook, and you can use the Facebook traffic to build on Pinterest. Now, Twitter also connects to Pinterest, and we'll show you how that works on the business side, because we have our business. We have Legal Advocacy Project connected to both Twitter and Facebook from Pinterest. So we'll show you what that looks like. So Jackie Velez is asking, does it matter that your interests aren't necessarily related to each other? Well, in this case, if you're an advocate, you need to have an interest that is put together in such a way that your Facebook reflects at least what you're advocating, because Facebook has a philosophy that it needs to be authentic. So you can be interested in other things besides what you're advocating, but you don't want to not have those interests noted, because the platforms tend to consider that spam. So if you're into advocacy, you want to make sure that your Facebook profile reflects advocacy, that it reflects what's in your Facebook page and your Facebook group in some form. Now, everything I do is not related to Legal Advocacy Project, but most things are related to Legal Advocacy Project in terms of what I do, just so that the platforms know I'm not spamming. So, for example, my personal Facebook has all kinds of things on it, but you can see that one of the main nonprofits that I'm advocating for is on my Facebook page, just so they know that's a connection. And when I mention those people or promote their events, there isn't any question as to what I'm doing with them. I'm an endorser of what they do. It's right here. I don't tend to endorse a lot of groups, so that has meaning on my Facebook page because I only have one group endorsed, and then I invite my friends to all the pages that I manage, not just the Legal Advocacy Project. So you want to have some kind of relationship pre-established that makes sense for what's happening. So I'm going to go here, Legal Advocacy Project download coming, and you can see here that in this case what's happening is I'm connected there. I invite my friends to like the page, and then in that I post from Pinterest, which will show, to I invite people from Facebook to Pinterest, both based on my preferences, and then based on just me hitting the invite button. So, for example, this here is my page where I've invited pretty much everybody, my cousins, to be a like my Facebook page. Second, we set up a Pinterest board that is specifically for Legal Advocacy Project. That's not my personal Pinterest board. So people know as a person I'm on Pinterest, so they pay attention to that. And then when I invite them to Legal Advocacy Project, they know that I am also a person who pins for social justice and things like that. So I can share my social justice work on Pinterest, and I can share my personal work on Pinterest. Now, the cool thing about Pinterest is that it has both a personal side and it has a business side, just like Facebook does. So let's go back to Pinterest. And what I'm going to do is log out of this one, and then I'm going to log into my business one for Legal Advocacy Project, and you'll see a difference. And there is such a thing as setting up a business account. So, for example, when you sign up, let's see if we can see here with the login. Let's see, I don't see it. There is a business side. I believe if you go to pinterest.com/business, there we go. There's a business site, so there's Pinterest for business. And you want to make sure that you go in that way to set up your business.pinterest.com. You go in to set up your account that way instead of into the main part of Pinterest, because if you set up the main part of Pinterest, then you'll be setting up a personal account versus a business account has extras and things like that. So you can see what the difference is. So, for example, if you're selling things, you can create buy buttons as a business owner on Pinterest. And this is what makes Pinterest really interesting, because you can do that, pin to your Facebook page, and then people can buy from your Facebook page. And then there's also a lot of discovery. So people who like the things that you sell can essentially buy them from Pinterest and be connected to your site that way. And that means that your Facebook traffic friends can get connected to your business and things like that. And then if you make the mistake and you actually have a problem in finding a thing, you can see here, the spotlight here, that you have. If you already have an account, you can convert it. If you happen to make a mistake and a problem with that, so make sure you can see it here. You can already have an account and convert now. So that basically put you into a place where you can do that. And then you click join as a business. You can see, you can hit create account. And once you create an account as a business owner, then you can put together an account. It looks like I'm on again on Internet Explorer, so I apologize. It's getting a little bit wonky. I'm just going to log in as a business person. Just go in from the front door. Once you have the business account, you can just go in as a business owner. You don't have to put together a business account just to log in. So we're going to go to log in. Yeah, I'm sorry. I am on a completely different computer today. And for some reason, it's a little bit weird. Okay. So one moment, let me just get logged in, get to the right interface. And then I will be back. Okay. This is the wonderful button I was looking for. So you can just log in as a normal login. And then you can see here, now this is the difference. So you see between my personal Pinterest account and Facebook account, there's a big difference. So with this one, you can see that it's clearly about social justice versus gardening and things like that. So that's why you want to distinguish your account. But on your Facebook account, it will integrate with both of those. So the difference with this is I've expressed different interests on the business account. And I've said, okay, I'm into social justice and power, things like that. And this is a abuse of power article. So, for example, I want to focus on this about Chief Bratton, who used to be chief in LA. Here, you may not be able to see, but I'm going to highlight it. There you go. It says post to Twitter. So Legal Advocacy Project has a Twitter account. And I just want to show you how this works because it connects to Facebook just like it connects to Twitter. So if we go to Legal Advocacy Project, I'm just going to show you that so that when it pops through, you can see exactly how it works. Okay, so we're going to pin it and we're going to post to Twitter. So we hit pin, and then you can see here on Pinterest, because my Twitter account is connected, or say Legal Advocacy Project's Twitter account is connected. You can see here it pinned the exact thing I just pinned with Chief Bratton. And these are the 4 pins for some reason that are looking pretty crazy on Internet Explorer. Let's see if we can show the pin, the recent pin. So if I look again, okay, so you can see the pins that showed for a second there. So you can see that when I hit pin, it pinned. But then you can also see that there's a new tweet. And so when I view a new tweet on Twitter, you can see that it auto-tweeted to our Pinterest account from Twitter. And then you can see if I hit the link here, it'll show exactly the article from on Pinterest, and you can comment and you can see who did it, and then you can also follow it. So I can say, for example, if I'm a different user and I'm looking at Legal Advocacy Project, I can follow the Pinterest account that is related to this particular article and see what else they post. And then as a user on Pinterest, as a business user, it will recommend things as well that are related to the people that I follow and the items that I pick. And so with Pinterest, that specifically, you can say whatever you want to say. You can create whatever comes forward. So we have inspiration, we have justice policies, we have protests. And then also, the cool thing about Pinterest, in addition to having, finding friends and things like that, you also have analytics, which is the same if you happen to be an advanced user on Facebook or Twitter and you buy ads, you have analytics. In Pinterest, you don't have to buy ads to have analytics. So you can see here, for example, who posted what, who responded to what. You can see how many people. So I have so far 146 users, monthly viewers for the month, which is only a few days old. How many people are engaged, which means how many people click. And then you can see what pins are the most popular. So this one has had the most impressions, and I believe it's because we run a regular tweet for this particular quote. Oh, no, this is not one. Okay, so for some reason, on Pinterest, it has a quote, when you find somebody good, keep them in your life. So that inspiration is inspiring people, so that's something to note for us. And we go, oh, okay. So we're talking about people who want good people in their life, and then also words that inspire me. You can see that people like that one, and which is sometimes what you're most afraid of is the very thing that will set you free. So since we deal with people who are formerly incarcerated, that's an interesting quote as well. And then we have some people who have liked, who have seen and liked this political poster, which is May All Our Voices Be Heard. So we get to see, for example, what our audience is into and begin to target them effectively towards that. So we can put all the things we're interested into there, and then we can see what the audience is like. And then you can look more at the audience in great detail. So you can see how many people are coming from where. So we have 120 people from the United States, and 12 from Canada, 4 from Mexico, 3 from Brazil, and 2 from New Zealand. So those are different stats than we have, for example, on Facebook and we have on Twitter. So very, very different. So we can look and say, okay, that's interesting. And then we can say, okay, who's on, what kind of brands do my audience engage in? So this is also fantastic data. Usually, as I mentioned, on Facebook and Twitter, you have to advertise. So if you don't have advertising money, a good way to understand your audience is on Pinterest as a business account, because you get free statistics. We also get those statistics on Sprout with Facebook and Twitter, and I'll show you that as a comparison, because it's interesting to know, if you weren't on the previous webinar, what the difference is on what stats are available, even if you're not an advertiser. So one moment, let me pull up Sprout so you guys can see what the difference is between those different types of accounts, because this is essentially what you can get for cheap or free. As I mentioned before, Sprout is free for 30 days, and then it's $59 per month per user. So the minimum spend is $59, which is a lot cheaper than being an actual advertiser. On Pinterest, you can get stats on your business pages without having to spend any money. So Pinterest, if you have absolutely nothing, is the best way for you to get statistics. And then you can export that data, create reports with it, and use that to raise funds versus using it to just, get exposure. You can actually use it to fundraise. So you can see here on our particular case, most of our audience is female from Pinterest. With interest, you can see the sites they're into and things like that. So you can, if you have any type of statistical acumen or any ability to be able to present data and do analysis, Pinterest is a great tool because you're able to do it for free. And then when you look at clicks. Let's look at repins. When you look at repins, you can see the impressions. When you look at clicks, you can see who clicked what. So we haven't had clicks yet, but we've had repins. And then you can see also the most shared pins all time and the things that rank the highest in search. So you can start to see exactly what it is that we're able to accomplish with Pinterest and what's most popular. And the good news is you can just keep trying and putting things out there. And the longer you run the campaign, we recommend that you start a campaign over 90 days and you set up Facebook, Twitter, and a landing page at least. And then if it continues, you need it to continue, then you set up a Pinterest account. And then, we'll talk about some of the other types of accounts. But as far as the ability to really do the right job, you want to do the big three: Twitter, Facebook, and then landing page. And then the next immediate one will be Pinterest. The other thing to answer, to compare it to, just so you can see, is Sprout. Okay, so let's go to Sprout one moment. Okay, it's a random interesting issue right here. Okay, one moment. I apologize. I'm just going to pull together. Again, I'm on a new browser, so I have a lot of things in. So in the meantime, what I would also say about Pinterest is that, I just got a question that is Pinterest mostly middle-aged female. I would say that there is an aspect of that that's accurate. However, because what we're teaching is a thing called attribution, your statistics come from where you source your traffic. So if you're sourcing your traffic only from Pinterest, then yes, you are going to get mostly middle-aged female. However, if you set up a foundation in the same way that we would in terms of Twitter, Facebook, so on, and then Twitter, Facebook, and then Pinterest with a tool like Sprout Social, that's not necessarily going to be the case, because you're directing traffic from other platforms and you're systematically routing traffic. So you can see on our Sprout account, most of our Twitter are male. So as we work with our Twitter audience, it's likely and probable that our Pinterest account is going to shift to be male, because that's who we have when we're sourcing our traffic from Twitter. We're going to have males because we are recruiting males, and we're going to have less females. Now, if we continue down the route of looking at, if we look at Facebook as our traffic attribution, again, we're connecting Facebook to Pinterest, you're going to see that, we probably will have the same demographic as our Facebook profile, which is just barely mostly female. It's half and half. So in terms of traffic and setting these things up and understanding where your audience is going to come from, that's why it's important to set up all your platforms, decide what platforms are going to be most effective, and then put together what's called an attribution, which means where you're going to source your traffic. Are you going to source it from Twitter to Facebook to Pinterest? Are you going to source it from Twitter to Pinterest on a one-to-one basis, and then Facebook to Pinterest on a one-to-one basis? How are you going to do this? So you have to make a decision about how you're going to architect your campaign. So it only makes sense to make sure that as you do things, you really have a plan. Because if you let the platform run your plan, you won't have a plan. It'll just be what the platform does, and it's kind of the what we call spray and pray. So you just hope that something works. You don't know whether it's going to work. And what we're talking about in our presentations is what is actually going to work. What is actually going to make sense for your presentation? What's going to be the best thing for you to do in terms of addressing your audience? So that's why you want to make sure you have these foundations set up properly so that you can direct and control the traffic the way that you want to control them, meaning that direct them to the places and the things and the ideas that you want to direct them to, not necessarily just let Twitter, Facebook, and Pinterest do what they want with your stuff. There is a way to dialogue via various tools with Pinterest and with Facebook and Twitter so that it does exactly what you want it to do. So that's what we're talking about in our webinar. So if you look at, for example, what we've advocated with our events and in this series, you'll see that we're talking about, again, a very systematic approach. So we're saying here, okay, we're going to go with week 1, Twitter, week 2, Facebook, week 3, Pinterest, and then week 4, Instagram, week 5, then we're going to talk about crowdfunding, which is going into Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, and then how to use that collectively to raise funds, and then how to view the data and direct traffic to meet your sales, fundraising, and marketing goals. So the last 2 weeks, we're going to talk about how to tie all this together into a system, how we're doing it, how we're working it with different clients. In my professional life, which is through a group called Smart Technologies, we're focused on how to make this be effective so that you engage the audience that you want to engage. You engage exactly how you engage with them exactly how you want to engage them, and that's why we're calling this quality, not quantity, because you want to know exactly who it is you're talking to and why. And then you want to rope everything together so that it meets your goals, your sales, your fundraising, your marketing goals. And we put it in that order. Marketing does not come first. Sales comes first. Sales meets the function of marketing. Fundraising meets the function of sales. Marketing meets the function of fundraising and sales. So this is a very specific approach we're using in social media in terms of, the poor man, the nonprofit, way of getting the data you need to be effective out there in terms of meeting your goals and reaching the audience you want to reach and getting the resources, the money, the support that you need. So when we talk about audiences, we're really talking about a systematic approach to things. We're not talking about just throwing some pages up there and hoping and praying that it's going to be the best thing to do. That's not really the best way to handle it. So our approach, for example, on our Facebook page is the polar opposite of what we're doing on our Twitter page. You see, on Twitter we have lots of followers, we have lots of posts, lots of tweets. It's a different ballgame than what we're doing on Legal Advocacy Project, the Facebook page, where we're actually building out advocates and people to work with us internally. So it's going to be a smaller audience and a more intimate audience versus Pinterest. We're really focused on connecting to the largest movement possible with protests and people in other regions and inspiration and really gathering the consumer audience, so to speak, versus on Twitter, I would say our focus is the media and other groups, partners. So here we have the public at large that we're just starting to build. Here we have partners. Here we have our internal advocates and the people that we want to work with us. So these are all different audiences. That's how we've chosen to work with the statistics that we're working with. So it just depends on how you want to grow your group, and it's true for any business. What do you want to use Facebook for? What do you want to use Twitter for? What do you want to use Pinterest for? What's going to be the most effective thing to do? And then to test out your hypotheses, test out what you think is going to work the best, and then put it out there. So in terms of statistics, you want to see here when you set up your Twitter, your Facebook, how the statistics relate to what you put out there on Pinterest and what you feel are your best opportunities. And then there's an analysis. So that's why we use the analysis part last. So when we talk about the picture sites this week, Pinterest, next week, Instagram, You know, we're talking about something a very specific medium. Where while there are pictures on Twitter and Facebook, there are pictures on the other platforms. It's not the same as the native platform itself for Pinterest, and it's definitely Pinterest is not really like Instagram. So they each have different functions. So when we talk about Pinterest, we're talking about the visions you have for regular people, typically not businesses, typically consumers, which I hate to use that word, but typically people who buy things and people who are just regular people. This is not a business. It's very active thing for movement, for traffic, for a lot of conversations and business deals. See, for example, on Twitter, we do a lot of business deals because there's a lot of business and advocate groups, and everybody's very, very active on Twitter. There's just a lot going on all the time. So we get a lot of opportunities from Twitter. We get connected to a lot of very well-connected people on Twitter. On Facebook, it's totally a different ballgame, like this intimacy. So when you look at building up pictures and picture sites, now you want to make sure your pictures, the photos that you post, the things that you post about on Pinterest have a relationship to the things on Twitter and a relationship on Facebook, because you want to be able to bring some of that traffic over to your Pinterest. But you want to make very conscious, clear decisions about what you want each of these platforms to mean. And then you want to have specific measurements, like, are you targeting males? If you're not targeting males and you're getting males, you got to figure out why is that. If you're targeting females, or you're targeting people from Asia and you're getting people from the United States, you need to figure that out too. Why is that happening? And you know, where are they coming from? If you're not getting people who are active enough, you really want to be clear about, you know, why people aren't active. So these are all questions when we're going to build up, again, to the data analysis part. But you really want to become sensitive to how you're purposely creating the opportunities for your organization, and you're purposely directing traffic to do what you want to do, and you have schedules, you have timing, you have things you're measuring, you're creating reports, you have a group of people, or you yourself as a founder are looking at those reports and making sure they meet your goals. If you're not doing that, then you're wasting your time. And that's really the philosophy we present, is that you need to make sure you're doing the right thing, and you're doing it in a way that's going to make the most sense for your organization. So again, in context, when you think about all these things, you want to make sure that Pinterest is another spoke in the wheel and not a different wheel altogether, or even on a different vehicle. You want to make sure that Pinterest makes sense for your entire organization, and it has a role, it has a specific targeted role, and you're measuring that role, same as you do on Twitter and as you do on Facebook. And you're measuring those reports, you're downloading those reports. So as we go along, you know, we make it a little more complicated in terms of talking about data, because it's very much how these platforms run. But what I would say to you is very simply is create a design of, this is what I want to do on Facebook, this is who I want to talk to, purposely become friends with those people. Twitter, this is what I want to do on Twitter, this is how I want to do it, and then purposely follow those people and advocate for those people to follow you back. And then the same on Pinterest. Who am I asking to follow on Pinterest? So if I want to find something along the lines of protest, it's the same as Facebook, it's the same as Twitter. You can literally find the people. Now, where you look at is, you can look at the pins, you can look at our pins, you can look at the pinners, which are the people that you can follow. So for example, you start to go, oh, okay, here's all the people to follow that are into protest. Or you can look at the pins. And you can say, not our pins, but you can say the pins. And then you can look at all the different things. So if we say, oh, we want to look at Ferguson, search for Ferguson protest. So then you can see all the pictures from Ferguson. And pin those and put those together. So, and it's the same as any of the other ones. So we can say here, and we want to build up our protest board. This is George Soros. So they're talking about George Soros and pin. So we can say, hey, we want to pin that. And again, I'll just highlight this and say, yeah, we want to pin that, but post that to Twitter. So we hit pin, and then you can see here, justice policies, and then here inspiration, and then your protest. Okay, so we're going to post that under protest. Let's see if it'll actually post. You can see it post. Let's see if you want to tweet. Looks like it posted. No, it did not. So again, I said, sorry, we're having technical difficulties here. Let's see if we go to protest, so it'll pin there. Okay, sorry about that, but the point is that you can pin it there. And then if I hit share on Facebook, I can share it to the Legal Advocacy Project page. So that should come up in a minute. I don't think we'll have technical difficulties with that one. So we can go here, and I can go on a page I manage. I can go to Legal Advocacy Project, and hit share link, and then it's on my Pinterest page. It's actually also on the Facebook page for Legal Advocacy Project. So that's why it's important, again, to have that foundation, because they're going to go and say, okay, here is what Legal Advocacy Project is about. Here's what he's doing. Also, here's what this is about. So if we refresh on the Facebook page, you're going to be able to see that what I just posted, shared, is on Pinterest. So it's going to, oh, okay, Legal Advocacy Project is on Pinterest, and they're talking about protests. We don't talk about protests on any other part of our social media plan. We talk about protests only on Pinterest. And we talk about justice policy in terms of pictures on Pinterest. We do post other photos about protests sometimes here and there, but it's not a general topic that we do unless it's related to something else. So there's a focus there. So we just have to be really, really careful in terms of focus. We don't dilute our message. So on Pinterest, this is what we're doing. On Facebook, this is what we're doing. On Twitter, this is what we're doing. So we communicate that very well. So going back to Pinterest, you can search on any topic you want to search on and find pictures and find things to talk about. So in terms of protests, you can see there's protest signs, there's protest photography. So if we go to photography, you will see from actual photographers, and that's how they've pinned it. You can also go into civil rights things. So any keyword you use, and we talked about keywords in the first webinar. So if you need to go back to the first webinar, it's on our YouTube and it's on our site as well. And it's just the same webinar that is posted on the top of our Twitter page, so you can view it there. When we talked about it on May 20th, we talked about keywords. Your keywords work in every platform in terms of finding people and things to do. So your keywords in Pinterest basically help you find the best things to post about. So if we say California legislature, which right now we're doing lobbying, we don't really have that focus on anywhere else, so we can talk about the state capitol and the museum on our page. We can talk about why it's important to vote. We talk about other topics. So it really can diversify what you talk about very easily without you having to do a lot of legwork. And you can really start to find who are the stakeholders in all the different aspects of what you're advocating for. So, that's a big deal. The other thing we've been talking about in our presentation is exactly how you find an audience. So in Pinterest, behind every single post, there's a thing called a pinner. And so I want to highlight this. So if we click on something we like, you can see there's a person here underneath here named Gala Night Owl. So I can follow her, and that's a potential audience member. I can also click on her profile. I can see that she's also on Facebook, so I can find her on Facebook. I can click on the Facebook icon on her profile and find her on Facebook and message her and become friends on Facebook. That's why, again, I cannot stress more that you must have a Facebook profile that is active and looks nice and is useful so that you can communicate with people from Pinterest to Facebook and recruit that audience back and forth and create a connection. So this is what Gail and I now talked about, and we can see if any of her interests fit either our personal or professional interests, and she can become a friend. And that's based on that one pin. From looking at her Pinterest, you would never guess that she is indeed political, but that's why what makes Pinterest really easily because this is what makes Pinterest help us connect the dots really easily because you can't really tell from Facebook or Twitter what people's interests are, but from Pinterest you can. So if you see somebody, you see a picture on Pinterest, you can start to connect the dots from your friends and from people who are new to you about what they're really into and how they really work. So, for example, this picture, again, about a historical book on the California legislature. It's by Redbird Ridge. We can click on Redbird Ridge, and he loves vintage Americana book industry. This is his Twitter page. This is his website. This is his Twitter page. So, as a Twitter user, we can say we want to connect with him on Twitter. So again, foundations. You can really build out quite a history if you have the right things in place. So a person, typically if you had a Pinterest account first and you had no Twitter and Facebook, people wouldn't typically connect with you because they wouldn't see that you're a social media person. They might think you're a spammer. Or they might think something's wrong or you're trying to get something from them. So you want to make sure and have these accounts set up and the foundation set up properly so that you can data mine, you can find out what people are interested in, you can get statistics on them, you can see what they view, you can start to work with an audience in a holistic way and start to see, okay, this is what everybody's into, these are, okay, how many of my Facebook friends are on Pinterest and what are they like on Pinterest, and start to catalog and again collect those precious statistics that allow you to gain momentum fundraising wise and they allow you to get more things done. So that's what makes Pinterest really powerful and wonderful. We'll go through one other example here. Let's go back. And then we're going to type in the justice. Let's see what we get here. So you can see here, Justice is a store for young ladies. So we're going to get that. And then if we click social justice, we're going to get something a lot more specific that's not related to the tank tops and things for young teenage girls. So, for example, here's one topic about racism, which is a big topic right now. A girl who's protesting. And then we look at added by Savannah Bales and Daniel Parker. So let's see, okay, who's Savannah Bales? Is she somewhere? Okay, so we don't know where she is, but she is on Facebook. She has a little Facebook icon. You can see from looking at her picture, you can tell she's into social justice. But from Pinterest, you know that she is. So that becomes very interesting. You can database her Facebook page, you can database her Pinterest page and see what else she's into. And that becomes very interesting. And people put that out there because they want to connect with people. So that could be a potential advocate, that could be a potential person, and it's because she posted this photograph on Pinterest. So that makes it all very, very interesting. Okay, so I think we're heading on an hour here. I want to make sure that we covered everything about Pinterest. Let me go back here. And again, thank you guys for hanging in there with me as we had those difficulties. The last thing I'll go over are actually two things. One is here on the side, again, I apologize that I'm on. I am on Internet Explorer, but it has here on the side, let me highlight here. We have welcome to your Pinterest business account. You can install a pin button, which basically allows you to pin stuff while you're surfing the net. You can get a follow me button to put on your website, and then you can also verify your website and see how many people pin stuff from your website. So you can use your website as a pinnable thing. You can install that for your business site. You can also, if you go here, the business site, it talks about the business aspect of everything and viable pins and things like that. And if we go back, you'll see that we have a thing called promoted pins. So just like Facebook and Twitter, you can advertise on Pinterest. It's not quite ready yet, but you can join the wait list to understand more about it, and people, if you pay for people to visit your site just like you do. There's business-based Twitter, there's business-based Facebook ads. So same thing with Pinterest. They're doing advertising as well. But it is a good opportunity for you to understand what's going on even without those tools. The last thing is you can do a thing called make a widget. And a widget is how you would embed a Pinterest board on your website or on your Facebook page. It has the code here. So it becomes another way to get an audience. You can pin it on another site, you can pin it on a blog, and that brings traffic to your Pinterest site. So I think with that, we've put together a comprehensive overview of everything. We did record this week's webinar. We will repost it for those who attended so you can look at it again and go over it in more detail. If you have any questions, please feel free to email via the webinar registration. It has our email address. And thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to pause for a few seconds, about 30 seconds, to see if anyone has any questions outside of that. Let's see. Let's go into the dashboard for questions. Okay. Okay, yeah. So thanks for the feedback. And yeah, we're aware of the background noise and things like that, but thank you for that. And I think we're going to probably try to post or rehab this webinar or have a summary webinar about all the different things so that we have that. Yes, there will be slides available. It's the same deck that we've been presenting with, and we will put together a deck for this as well. Again, the technical difficulties did not allow me to have a deck today, but we will have that. Jackie, I'll send you a link to the prior decks as well in an email that we send that we'll follow up with this evening. So you'll have a link to all the prior materials. Thank you, Jackie. We'll have a link to all the prior materials for all those who registered and attended. And we'll have another section that will summarize everything again. We always try to put everything together for everything, for every attendee and everybody who registered. And then you'll have some follow-up materials with that. And Jackie, thank you for the email. I got your email as well. Okay, any other questions? I think we're good right now. If you have any questions, again, it's calegaladvocacyproject@gmail.com. We are still building out our website and our campaign. We're not publicly debuted yet, but I appreciate the webinar. If you have any ideas or anything that would help us out, we appreciate your feedback. And we look forward to speaking with you out there. California, actually, if you go to our Twitter page, that's the easiest way to find us, which is just Twitter/ pull it up here one moment. It's over here. Legal Advocacy PR twitter.com/legaladvocacypr, and that has all our links to everything. Facebook is a private page still, but we'll email out our Facebook page as well. But Twitter is the easiest way to get in touch with us. And it has our basic site, and our story, and all that stuff. And if you look on our list on Twitter, you can see, log in. You can see our all of our affiliates and who are the people that we work with. So you can see the different groups that we advocate for: change agents, activists, media. We're adding to that list. We've grown quite a bit over the last few weeks. And then other hashtags that we follow are on Twitter. We are very, very active on Twitter. So we have quite a bit going on there. Okay, we have one other question. Okay, great. Well, thanks, Jacqueline, for participating with us. And then, yes, we'll email you out all the things so you can like us on Facebook. And thank you for connecting to our page. Okay. Is there anything else? Let's see. Okay. I think we're good. Again, thanks, everybody, for joining the webinar. Sorry for all the difficulties, and we'll talk soon.